speak and spell piece called Phase Poe, Texas Phase Poe. It's going to be unplugged. It's never been a toy orchestra unplugged before.
It's acoustic.
I've only done this piece once before at a performance we did in Hong Kong, and it's finely balanced, so we just have to see if it works. What's going to happen is inside the speak and spells there's lots of different options for modification. This is the one that I generally use live, and this is my live toy orchestra model, and it does lots of different things, like the buttons on this side, they change the letters into other sounds or words. There's a song on the new toy orchestra album called Electric Rapture Because of You, and that's played like this. And I don't know if it really says because of you, but it sounds like it, and that's good enough. It also you can make loops. You can never tell what kind of loop it's going to make, but you know it will make a loop. So then these over here are about pitch. This is a body contact, you touch it and it leaks electricity off the circuit into your body, so it pulls the pitch of the circuit down, or via this switch, which is via this knob. You can also freeze a syllable while it's happening, like and then these switches here are all about this function, which is you have it go into say it, this game it plays, say it, it says a word and then you're meant to speak in a computer voice back to it. I'm not sure it's a really good way to teach children how to speak like Hawkins, but you can then, only once that's in operation, is there one switch that makes this little ticking sound. And only once that switch has been made does another connection become possible that wasn't possible before that connection was made. So when you explore the circuit, it's kind of like you wander around, you make a connection, and then you change the landscape by making that connection, and then you have to re-explore the landscape again to find, and new combinations might come about. And then only does this one come about, and then only once those two have been made in that order does a third one come about, which seems to spill this kind of random words and nonsense. But actually, once I've done it a few times, I realised it wasn't random. It was the same kind of list each time. So I wanted to know if I could have lots of them do it at the same time, but then I've over the past 10 years I've probably collected from card books about 40 speak and spells, and unfortunately they're all very different. For instance, these are all made in the same year, but you'll see that this one has a red Texas Instruments, this one has a blue one with no Texas Instruments, this one has a red one but it has no black line, this one has a black line. They're all very different. Inside the circuits are different, they're made in different places. And trying to find 5 that did the same thing was really hard, and then that had slightly different modifications in. In fact, 5 was the maximum number I could find out of the 40 that I had. And once they're set going, then you play this little game, you throw a switch to try and get them to go in phase, to start at the same point at the same time. It doesn't happen every time, but if we're lucky they'll go into phase, we'll see. And then they play out this piece of poetry, for want of a better word, for about 8 minutes, and then there's a little function where you can introduce a kind of oscillator and you can make a chord torsion. It's like a little game. Oh, batteries must be going up and tricky that tune. We'll be very lucky if that can go in phase now.
What batteries do you buy?
Alright, well, I'll adjust it as it goes. Unfortunately, I have to stand in front of them to see if it works. They tell me they only do if all of them have got. waiting. There's an actual new Modified Toy Orchestra album turned up in the form of this book, lovely book which we've had specially made. And I thought this was finally the triumphant week that we'd be able to sell it and release it. And we opened 1,000 of them, and 800 of the CDs had hot glue gun fingerprints all over the backs of the CDs and everything. So we're having them made again, the CDs, and eventually it will exist. But
And where will we be able to get one of these wonderful items?
that's a good point. Warmcircuit.com or something like that.
Also, if you put on here that you're interested in receiving information when they are released, we can send you a link to Warm Circuit. Through
Pete,
this
you should have
email
this.
link.
As
Okay,
an
that's
actual
nice
only
big
one that
force.
plays.
You are on it.